The dandelion with its yellow mane, bright as the sun that you can never tame. The dandelion. Hi, this is Lucy O'Hagan from Wild Awake, and today I'm going to talk to you about another weed, the dandelion. So another one that I'm sure you're really familiar with, but hopefully today I'd like to just shed some more light on its uses, like its folklore and all of the beautiful stories associated with dandelion. So yeah, let's start with the name, shall we? So dandelion, coming from the French Dandelion. So possibly most likely referring to the shape of the leaves. So dandelion, if you speak French, means tooth of the lion. So these really heavily serrated leaves, almost like lion's teeth. But could also refer to the indents on the flower petals itself, or the toothed nature of the root. It's not quite clear. But also, like, I think it's just like an amazing nod to the power of the dandelion. Just has so many incredible, like so much nutritional value and medicinal value, which I'll talk through a little bit more. So edibility wise, the whole plant is edible apart from this stalk, which is, you wouldn't really want to eat it anyway. Can be played as a trumpet, though we have spent all morning trying to do that and wasn't very successful, and I live with a trombone player, so somebody show me. Yeah, so the flower is edible, the leaves are edible, and the root is edible as well. And the buds too. So at the moment we have the flowers, which are out, which are an incredible source of pollen for bees and all of our other pollinating insects. Let's not forget them. So it's kind of one of the first flowers to come out. So yeah, and the buds are just starting to open, and the buds that you might use for food. So some people will use them for, like, I have some pickles, I've salted some to preserve them, but they're right at the very, very base of this rosette of flowers. So you see that little tiny one in here, that's what you're after. So where the petals haven't formed, you see this one's a little bit squidgy and this one's really solid. So that's what you would use as kind of like a little dandelion caper that you can pickle or salt. Yeah, if you're like, they appear around Imbolc, so around the day of Bridget. And in Irish, these are also known as like Bridget's herb. So what is it? I've written it down because my Irish is shocking. Where'd it go? Yeah, Burn and Bride. So the indented one of Bridget. So again, indented referring to either the leaves or the flowers or the root. And it has a really strong reference with the goddess Bridget because it appears at this time of year around Imbolc, and also that it has this big fiery head, just like Bridget's head. There's another Irish name that my friend just shared with me, thanks Rory, which translates as like spear of Bridget. So I imagine like referring to the leaves and also like Bridget's fiery spear that she sends out into the world. Yeah, so nutritionally, really like another one of our superfoods, just like the nettle. So it's really full of vitamins A, B, C, D, E and K. And yeah, really high in potassium, in iron, in calcium, in magnesium. And it's also like really well known as a diuretic. So it's one of the other names that you might know the dandelion as, which is pissenlit, or piss the beds, or wet the beds. And yeah, like, I mean, I challenge you to eat a big handful of dandelion leaves before you go to bed and see if you need to get up in the middle of the night, because it does really stimulate the bladder. So like, these are being used a lot in Western medicine now as diuretics, and in place of synthesized ones, because what the dandelion does that the synthesized diuretics don't do is that they replenish the body with potassium, whereas those other ones will just flush potassium out of the body. So amazing actions, and I suppose a really interesting example of how like these synthesized chemicals from plants like aren't considering the holistic nature of a plant or of the body. Nutritionally, the root as well, so the root can be dug at any time of year, but it's in like the autumn and early winter of second year growth plants that you would want to use the root medicinally, and that's because like all of the energy from the plant is being sent down into the root, so all of those sugars. But if you just wanted to like dig it up and to make a coffee, you can really do that at any time of year. So I've done that and I'm drinking some at the moment. So this is Dandelion root coffee. So I've dug up the roots, washed them. The roots are so beautiful, like gnarled and so characterful. Washed them, dried them, and then roasted them. So I roasted mine on a pan, but you could roast them in the oven as well. And I'll just show you. Yeah, so you could grind it up a little bit finer than that even, and then stick it in a cafetiere or a teapot or whatever. So the root's really full of something called inulin, and inulin is really good for our gut bacteria. And as we know now with all of these fermented drinks and foods, how important having a healthy gut is just for your overall health. Yeah, one thing that was like maybe one of the first things that really sparked my interest with dandelions was learning that it's not actually just one flower. Like each of these petals is a flower in and of itself, with male and female reproductive parts on the same plant. And when it's pollinated, then those flowers turn to the fruit, which we see as the seed, with these gorgeous little parachutes which you blow and fly off into the world. An amazing adaptive strategy to propagate itself in many different places. Yeah, and like how else to use it. So the dandelion greens, if they're growing in the shade, they tend to be a lot less bitter. But it's worthwhile to think about, you know, in the wild, all of these plants like quite often have this bitter compound, and it's so important for our body, and it helps like our liver, and it helps us with bile production, which helps us to actually digest our food better and to absorb all of the minerals and vitamins that are in our food. So like we see that now with maybe after dinner people have like an orange or a bitter piece of chocolate or a coffee, but it's the bitters that are in our food that are so important, like as an integral part of our diet. But you know, it's not to everybody's taste. It's a bit of a grown-up taste, as Frank Cook puts it. So like if you find the leaves growing in the shade, they are less bitter, or you can pick them and put them in the fridge for a little while, which reduces the bitter taste. Or you can like fry them up and then just like put them into quiches and omelettes and loads of different things. I really like the bitter taste, those lactones, I really love them. So I love to just make a salad with it, and I'll make like a dressing maybe with the dandelion flowers, infusing them into vinegar and pickling these little buds as well, and pop those into a salad. There's some of the pickled buds. Vinegary. And then the flowers as well, so you can pick the flowers. As always, like being mindful of, you know, we're a part of this ecosystem as well, but there are lots of other animals that rely on dandelion, so just be mindful of how much you're picking. But one thing that we love to do is to pick the dandelions just with the stalk and dip them in a batter, and then fry those. And I've made a little short video of that, which I'll post in the comments, and you get these really gorgeous little dandelion fritters, which I like. Yeah, in our folklore, dandelion, as I said before, is really associated with Bridget, the goddess, and it also comes up in something known as Daonketh's porridge. So Daonketh was one of the Tuatha De Danann, so these ancient race of gods and goddesses that roamed the lands of Ireland. And Daonketh was the physician, and he reputedly made this porridge, which was said to cure all sorts of ails of the stomach and the liver and the gallbladder, and coughs and things. And in that porridge he had dandelions, as well as hazel buds, chickweed, wood sorrel, and oatmeal. So yeah, it has a really ancient use in Ireland. And yeah, for me, like, the dandelion is always this amazing symbol of resilience and rewilding. You know, you'll just see it growing through cracks in the pavement, like surviving on what seems like absolutely nothing, you know, in the middle of a city. So like this real symbol of tenacity and how wildness can burst through in times like this. So yeah, definitely one that really brightens my mood. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the dandelion today. And just to let you know that I feel like the internet is so awash with so many videos at the moment, which is incredible. But I also get really anxious and really sad when I'm on the internet a lot. So I'm just going to try and do one video a week, I guess, still related to all of this stuff. And yeah, that's okay. That'll keep me happy. And yeah, thanks a million. Slán.